Welcome everybody, it's Selman. To this video we are going to be talking about kind of a continuation from a video I made back in Raven the Redwoods, and the video was mainly talking about why Willard Wyler chose these characters, and it was something that really fascinated me at the time because I just really didn't understand it and it didn't make that much sense. But then comes Shaolin Shuffle and gives us character bios given by Willard Wyler, kind of just giving his own comments and just talking about their past at the same time, and it gave us an answer to most of them, but there's still one I'm really curious about, and I'll get to him later. But for now I want to just kind of do a quick summary of why he chose all the characters. And so first off, I want to talk about Poindexter, and not only did we actually learn about why Willard Wyler wanted Poindexter, but while learning why Willard Wyler wanted Poindexter, we also heard a couple other things that were pretty interesting. And we do know that Poindexter was mainly a part of theater, and he was just a theater actor, or whatever the right name to call them, but he caught his eye because not only was he really good at theater, but he also had a lot of knowledge of his films. And he said Poindexter's understanding of the inner workings of his films were absolutely amazing, and the reason he wanted him specifically is because he wanted Poindexter's knowledge to guide the four through the movie. So we do know just from this is that Willard Wyler doesn't exactly want our characters dead. He kind of just wants our characters to somehow live through all this. The reasons why we are not entirely sure, but he does want our characters to live all the way through, and that's the extra thing we learn on top of actually learning why Willard Wyler chose him. It's very interesting. But after this we heard about Andres, and Andres was actually a really good actor, and he was really loved inside his TV shows that he actually came out in. He had a pretty dark past because he grew up in a bad neighborhood and obviously broke through it and became an actor. And the reason Willard Wyler wanted him is, in the words of Willard Wyler, is that he could endure through the darkness. And it's pretty interesting because he does want someone who could actually survive through this, because he couldn't just have someone who had knowledge of the inner workings of his films. He also wanted someone who could actually endure it, because if you just know what's going to happen doesn't mean you could actually do it. So it does make sense that you would want somebody who could also endure it. And then the next one I want to go to is actually Sally, and the reason he picked Sally was actually for two reasons, which was very, very surprising, because we've only heard for one reason for the other two characters, but Sally had two reasons. Because Sally really was only popular in one TV series while she was growing up, but after that she couldn't really get a really good acting career going, and because of this she became very desperate, because every single acting career she tried to get into, or acting job she would try to get into, they wouldn't respond, or they just wouldn't accept her as an actor or actress. So she was getting pretty desperate at this time, on top of all the pressure of her family being already famous and they're already doing their own things, and people are just saying that she's just riding her parents' fame, and she was just, like I said, getting very desperate. So Willard Wyler wanted that desperate, or however you say, just how desperate she was. He wanted that for his films, and this seemed more like what we'd expect from Willard Wyler. But then after that, he says it's pretty much the same thing about Poindexter, except in a different way, because instead this time around he goes and says her fearlessness will protect the four. Obviously talking about all the four characters, but it's really interesting how her fearlessness is what's actually there. I don't really know in her story if it really showed she was fearless. I would think that's more of Andre's thing, but I guess she's pretty fearless too. So he picked her for two main reasons, just because she's fearless and she's pretty desperate. But another thing I found very interesting, because in the same quote where he says her fearlessness will protect the four, it's very, very interesting. And this is kind of off topic. Immediately after Willard Wyler says her fearlessness will protect the four, he goes and says, I have to be careful. He's always watching. This seems really weird, because why Willard Wyler all of a sudden just brings up his own fears after saying someone else is fearless really gets me thinking on why exactly he wants someone who's fearless. Maybe he's actually trying to do something with these people and just trying to have them go against this person that he's actually afraid of. So it'd be pretty interesting. I'm not too sure if that's the case. That's just some random speculation. Just keep that in mind. That part right there was just random speculation. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was worth mentioning. But then we come around to AJ, and AJ is one I just don't understand, because we heard the backstory of AJ, and he was a pretty successful TV actor, but he wanted to go into films and movies, but he just didn't know when. And then when Willard Wyler offered him the job, he wanted to. And we also learned that he was a really good athlete too, but we don't know too much about that either, but I don't think that's really important. So AJ, besides those two things Willard Wyler points out, does not say any other reason why he wants him, but I don't understand why he'd want that, because the other one have actual reasons. Poindexter has a knowledge of the inner workings of his films. Andre can endure through the darkness. Sally has her fearlessness, but AJ, he's a good actor, but we also know that about Andre. But I guess he's an athlete, but is that really important? Because I don't really understand why Willard Wyler was wanting some sports player inside his films. It doesn't make that much sense to me, because you're supposed to be acting and maybe living through these things in the case of them. so it doesn't make sense to me why he exactly want AJ, and I don't think we actually have a real reason why he wants AJ inside his movies with all the other 3 characters, because AJ, we heard the background and everything, it's a pretty cool background, I guess, but it's just nothing really to actually say, yes, I want this guy in my film, and he never says that. Now, there is something Willard Wyler actually says after saying the second is collected, obviously talking about AJ, and when he says patience, I get people do assume that he's talking about AJ, saying because of his patience, but first off, that doesn't make sense, and second off, that's not what he's saying, because patience, the other ones will come, which obviously is talking about the next characters he's going to be finding and collecting. Well, not really collecting, he's just kind of finding them, and then he's going to invite them all at the same time, like we saw at the intro to Zombies in Spaceland. So regardless, it is super interesting why AJ really doesn't have an explanation why he's really there, and I'm really curious if they're actually going to play off of this, or if it's just something they didn't see as important. But I don't know, tell me what you guys think about this. You guys think AJ is actually going to be something more important, they're just kind of hiding it for now, or do you guys think something else? Because personally, I find that hard to believe, because it seems like Poindexter is kind of Willard Wyler's favorite, but I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, like I said, go ahead and leave any of your ideas and theories and anything you want to say down in the comments, because really, I'm very confused on this AJ thing, and it's just so confusing to me why AJ is actually important, because it just doesn't give us a real reason right now. So I guess right now I do have almost a complete answer to my previous video I made back in the Raven and the Redwoods, but it does seem like it's not completely answered, and maybe it won't ever get completely answered. We won't get an actual good reason why AJ is a part of this. But anyways, that's about it for this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead and thumbs up. If you guys want to stay tuned for content similar to this, go ahead and subscribe. But I'm gonna go, and I will catch you guys on my next video.